Collin, I guess to start off with maybe more of a broad question. Your first full season at pro, how do you think it went with ups and downs, your body holding up, things like that? How would you rate kind of your first full season as a pro hockey player?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. I'd say definitely a lot of learning lessons. You touched on them a bit. I think that, the biggest one's probably just how long the season is. I think, with rookie tournament and preseason games and regular season games and playoffs, it's probably double just about whatever I've played in the last 5-6 years in college and then junior because of COVID and stuff like that. So I think that was probably, I started to, or not at all, but I think that was something that was definitely new. I think that, it's a grind every day. I think that's a big thing, and it's super competitive. I mean, it's everyone's job to be out there. It's not like college and you got other things to do. You're a hockey player and that's what you got to do, and you want to love to do it, and you got to put the work in every day, whether you're on the ice, off the ice, recovery, stuff like that. So I thought it went pretty well for me personally, and I say that, there's always things that I can improve on, and I think that now is sort of that time where, for me, I look back and I reflect on what went well, what didn't went well, probably write it down and sort of take some time to make a plan, and then obviously talk to the coaches and the staff here and sort of see if they agree with what I think, and then go from there.
When you look back to training camp, if you talk about that reflecting, I know it might be hard to think about that, but you're in Sharks training camp late, you don't make the team, but you get a lot of opportunity both down here with the Cuda on the top line and eventually with the Sharks. You played top 6 minutes, top PK. When you look at that part, were you happy with the improvements of your season, and after maybe some disappointment at the start, kind of proving them, hey, like I belong here, I belong in some key roles in both the NHL and AHL?
Yeah, for sure. I think that, you never want to get sent down. Obviously, no one does. But I think that first stretch of games in the A really helped my confidence. I'd say it helped being able to, put the puck in the net early, and that sort of allowed me to go from there. And then I think that, credit to the Barracuda coaching staff on working on the penalty killing, the defensive side, especially the penalty killing part of my game, because I think that was something that, no one really expected, myself included, to be like a useful thing, especially up in the NHL. So I think that credit to them for helping me develop that part of my game, and I think that that definitely helped me in the NHL as well. There's more ice time.
Adding on to that, just going in between the NHL and AHL, how are you able to kind of balance the mental and physical demands of that?
Yeah, I think first thing, them being in the same facility is really beneficial. You talk to friends in different places, and they gotta get on a flight to go back and forth. And considering like I went up and down a couple times this year, so I think that was nice, just that little thing. So I'd say that's definitely a bonus. As for the mental part, I'd say, you try to sort of stick to the way you want to play, whether that's in the A or the NHL. I think that, it's obviously harder in the NHL, and, you might not be as successful in terms of making plays or stuff like that because it's better. But I think that, the thought process that I have and sort of how I want to play is the same.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned making improvements. So what specific things are you looking for, to maybe secure a spot, in the NHL?
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. I think when you look at video and stuff like that, I think that for me personally, I think strength. I think being able to gain some weight, being able to, especially in the NHL, the deer big, the deer heavy, and they close quick. And I think that, just being able to fend them off, even if it's for another half a second, and then that half second, hopefully I can make a nice play or make just, give myself a little bit more time. And then sort of adding on to that, I'd say the first step, like, of acceleration. I'd say that's a big thing, sort of goes along with the strength part, and being able to just get out of those corners and those tight spaces and give me, some more room to work.
How valuable was this experience, just being in a playoff chase, getting a chance to play some playoff games? How do you kind of look at this experience?
Yeah, it was super fun. I mean, playoffs are the best time of the year. I think, that first series, I wouldn't say we got the full playoff experience in terms of just the crowd, but I mean, the energy on the ice was there, and I think that Colorado series, the games at home were awesome. It's it's unfortunate, obviously, the way it ended, but I think that, those home games and just being able to, especially the second game that we won, that was fun, everyone's there for you, everyone's sharing. It's, it's nice to get a win in front of the home crowd, and then on the road, got to be the most hostile environment in the A that I saw for sure, was that Colorado game. Like, the fans are chirping you from the bench, or when you're sitting on the bench, like, they got a bunch of signs, so it was fun. And some learning lessons. It's obviously harder, and it wasn't the way we wanted it to go. We probably had a team that could have gone deeper, I think, personally, but it happens.
You kind of touched on it earlier, but fair to say you have a better idea of what's going to allow you to become a full-time NHL player now, right? I mean, what things you kind of need to do in your game to sort of allow you to go into camp next year and really challenge for a job, right?
Yeah, I'd say there's always things you can work on, right? Like, I'm never going to be satisfied with how I'm playing, or never going to be satisfied and think that there's nothing I can't get better at. I think there's definitely things I did well. There's definitely things that I can improve on, and I think that, I feel like I did a good job personally, and I think that, it's sort of what management sees.
When we talked to Warsawski right after the season, he mentioned this specifically about the way you look different in camp next year as opposed to when you first turned pro.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming into camp next year, your body just looked differently, and it said that's kind of what I want to see from a lot of guys. I mean, does that kind of indicate to you that the training program, the regimen you had in the off season is the right way to go, and that's kind of gives you encouragement that keep doing the same thing, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that, when I'm thinking back to camp this year, I think that those last 7 games that I got, I guess 2 years ago now, sort of gave me an idea, right? Like, they gave me an idea of what I need to work on, what I need to get better, and I think that definitely helped me. And I'd say that getting a full year in the AHL and the NHL, like, up and down, I think that's going to even help me even more to sort of really dial in what I need to work on. And, it's a little bit different, but it's a little bit of the same.
Speaking of that, I guess the difference between your first in NHL and this last year, what was kind of, if you can point to one thing, like the biggest difference from the first to the second time? Was it your body, your changes in your body? Was it just being comfortable with the pace? Just overall, just what seemed different the second time, if you could summarize it?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just processing it quick enough. Like, I think that, coming from college, I was used to the college speed of things, and I think that, there were definitely times 2 years ago where, like, it showed, like, when you go back and watch it. And I think that for me, going into camp and then playing the first half of the year in the A, really, like, it's a really good league, the AHL. And I think that sort of helped me be able to process things quicker and make plays quicker and know that, you don't have enough time. And I think you don't have as much time as you did in college or you want to have, but you got to make sure that you make those little plays, whether that's in the D zone, the neutral zone, or the offensive zone. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that I think I did better.
And just sorry if you've been asked this, this summer, what does it look like? You're training with Henry, just.
Oh yeah, no one's asked this yet. Well, I haven't exactly put together the plan yet, just because obviously we just lost. But yeah, I know that. Well, I'm pretty sure that Thrunner and Smitty are skating together, and I'm not 100% sure, but I mean the coach talked to me about it, so
okay.
That could be an option for sure. And then we'll all play in that 3-on-3 league again in the summer, so that's always a fun little thing. Get all the pro guys from Massachusetts, get a little competition. It gets a little bit feisty, but it's fun. It's good to get some of that in the summer, especially, you're just addicted to it during the season and you love it when it's in playoffs, and then you take that break and there's not a lot of competitive things that you do. Like, as a competitive guy, like anything that I want to do, I want to win, right? So getting to do that, especially in hockey and not in golf or something like that, it's fun. And as for like the workout plan or like the exact schedule, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'll be figuring that out over the next couple days.
What would you tell guys who are just starting their pro careers, like a Lund or a Musty or a Chernyshov, those type of players who are just starting their pro careers, about the the adjustments, the changes that you need to do, and like I said, treat this as a full-time job right now. And you're out of junior, you're out of college. This is your
Yeah.
job. What would you tell them about just making that adjustment, I guess?
Yeah, I would say, the biggest thing is that there's really like no days off. Like, there's a lot more. I guess the junior guys might have it a little bit more in terms of games played, but there's a lot of games. There's a lot of days, like days before games where you're trying to prepare for the game, right? Like stuff like that. There's not a lot of weeks like in college where you get Sunday through Thursday to recover and, game plan for stuff like that, make your body feel better. But then, I'd say that, you're here for a reason, right? Like you obviously have, everyone's got skills that they can help the team win and stuff like that if they're here. And, it's sort of not really changing your player who you are, right? You want to keep working on those things that you're good at, but then rounding out your game, like building around those skills and sort of trying to make yourself as well of an all-around player as you can be. At least that's sort of what I think.